Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I formally declare this council meeting of the Colac Otway Shire on the 11th of December 2024 open at 4 p.m. I'll have the opening prayer. Almighty God, we seek your blessing and guidance in our deliberations on behalf of the people of the Colac Otway Shire. Enable this council's decisions to be those that contribute to the true welfare and betterment of our community. Amen. Acknowledgement of country. I would like to start this afternoon by acknowledging the traditional custodians and lawmakers of this land, their elders past and present, and welcome any descendants here today. Please be advised that this meeting is recorded and live streamed, with the exception of confidential matters. This includes the public participation sections of meetings. The live stream recordings of this afternoon's meeting will be available on the website as soon as practicable. By participating in open meetings, individuals consent to the use and disclosure of the information they share at the meeting, including any personal and/or sensitive information. I note that all councillors are present here today. There are no apologies. I move to the confirmation of minutes. I propose that we move to confirm the minutes of the council meetings held on the 20th of November 2024 and the 27th of November 2024. Do I have a mover? Councillor Potter, seconded. Councillor Hudgell. Put that to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickar, Councillor Dedooge, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. Thank you. It's carried 7-0. Are there any declarations of interests? No. We'll now move on to question time. 30 minutes is allowed for question time at council meetings. Community members wishing to ask questions of council by video conference were requested to register their intention before 5 p.m. on the 9th of December 2024. No requests were received. Councillors received questions in writing from Mr. James Judd. These questions will be read out and a response will be provided by the relevant member of the executive management team. We'll go to the questions from Mr. Judd. Thank you. Mr. Surin.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you. The first question, is it now definite that the Colac Otway Shire Council's intention to extend the centre strip west in Murray Street, Colac, from Crangamite Street to Armstrong Street is actually going to be introduced? Will the inconvenience of all businesses in this section be addressed first before any works are done? If so, can any time limit be put on when this is likely to be done? We have already been kept waiting many years since Council first announced its intention to do so, but no time frame was given. With no certainty that an allocation by government will ever be kept if the Treasury benches change prior to undertaking to provide money being delivered, even if passed by Parliament. Response to the question. The further redevelopment of the Colac CBD streetscape from Crangamite Street to Armstrong Street is still an important future project for Council. However, it is not funded at this point in time. There are many competing projects across the Shire, and prioritising these and matching them to funding programs is a challenge. The development of the new council plan will establish strategic objectives for the next 4 years, and this may assist in establishing clear priorities for large projects such as the CBD streetscape. Should funding be allocated to this project, a project plan would be prepared which would outline timelines and detail appropriate engagement methods with local businesses.
The second question, with the Colac Otway Shire Council objecting to increased costs and it must reduce its excessive expenditure, please justify how you can now put out council agendas with a different design on every separate meeting agenda. The production of these is very expensive against a standard form that only had to have the type of meeting, time of meeting and place of meeting changed for each separate meeting added later. So blank copies without these details could be produced all at one time, then only those needed from a meeting would have the actual details added prior to the agenda for that meeting being issued. When the cost to produce a printing block is high, if only a few printed, it works out very much per copy over if many printed per block produced all the smaller a print run, the more charged per item produced. You could pay many times as much per unit if only 50 units were produced against 1,000. So the same cost would be run up to changeover for the use, no matter how large the production run. The response, there was no increased cost in changing the design of the council agenda and minutes papers. With the new council commencing, the look of the documents was upgraded and refreshed. We currently print very few copies of agendas and minutes documents. The papers are primarily available electronically and via the council's website.
Through you, Mayor. Question number 3. When will elected councillors put a definite annual limit on the total value of contracts, purchase arrangements and planning applications that can be authorised by unelected council officers before they must go to a meeting of councillors to be authorised? As it now stands, authority to officers could allow very big values to be put through without any scrutiny, and we do not have money to cover them, i.e. 20 at $10,000 is far more than 1 at $100,000. Response. Council has already put a limit on the total value of contracts and purchase arrangements that can be authorised by council officers before they must go to a meeting of councillors to be authorised. This is done under Section 11 of the Local Government Act 2020. Under that section, council may, by instrument of delegation, delegate to the CEO a number of matters, including the ability to enter into a contract or make any expenditure, and must specify a maximum monetary limit that cannot be exceeded. That monetary limit at the moment is $300,000, including GST. Council's procurement policy also outlines the processes required to appropriately manage purchasing arrangements. This policy was recently updated and adopted by Council in July 2024.
Through you, Mayor. Question number 4. Since the Colac Otway Shire Council long ago told the community it was to establish a solar panel farm on the old Colac tip site, is Council still going to do this, or has it been given the flick? Plus, will Colac have to rely on renewable electricity being supplied from other areas that have no transmission system available to bring power to Colac? Plus, no definite undertaking that one is ever going to be provided. Do not forget this council has contracts that require renewable electricity only is to be used at specific sites. So, if no transmission system is then available, this council could have to pay very high damages for including this clause in a contract it was party to drawing up. Response. Council is not determined to establish a solar generation facility at the former landfill site at Bruce Street, Colac. Council currently generates electricity at a number of its facilities from solar panels on buildings and purchases the balance of its electricity needs from Red Energy. This power is 100% renewable and the contract presents good value for money. Question number 5. Have any of the funds allocated to the Colac Otway Shire Council budget for 24-25 to spend on footpaths in the Shire yet been spent to do any works, and if so, how much has actually been spent? While we're still waiting for works this council claimed it did years ago to actually be done, especially outside one of council's operations in Colac, proper that works 5 days per week most weeks, also has operated for many years since prior to council's amalgamation in 1994. Response. Council has spent approximately $5,000 on footpath works and has contracts in place for a further $196,000 of works, which will be undertaken in coming months.
Thank you. That concludes all of our written questions and responses. We'll now move to the questions from the gallery. In accordance with our governance rules, we've sought registration for questions from the gallery. I've received 3 people willing to speak, and the first one is Mr Alan Billing, if you'd like to approach the lectern. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Could I first congratulate the councillors on their election and wish them well. My question is in relation to the Tourist Information Centre. Is council planning to increase the operating hours of that facility through the holiday period?
Thank you for the congratulations, Mr Billing. And I'll pass that to Mr Surin for a response. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Thanks for the question, Mr Billing. We're looking to expand the number of days that the facility's open, like we did this time last year, but not the number of the hours of operation.
Just an increase in the days, but the total hours per week, or?
That would increase the total hours per week, yes.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Billing. The second registered person is Mr Tony Webber. You've registered a couple of questions. Thank you.
Congratulations on all you councillors who were lucky enough to get elected. My first question is related to an earlier question I asked earlier in the year and before that about the amount of rates collected in Apollo Bay and the amount of money spent. Now, we've got a new council now, so maybe we can get the second part of the question answered as to how much is spent in the coastal Apollo Bay area.
Thank you, and again, thanks for the congratulations. Mr Tenney, thank you.
Thanks for the question. As we've answered a number of times, we've had this question come up in Apollo Bay as well. A lot of council's projects and services span the whole Shire, and to disaggregate it by location is virtually impossible and probably would give a skewed result as to where the rates are actually allocated specifically to location. So at this stage, it's a big task to do and probably wouldn't be able to be disaggregated effectively.
I'd be only looking for an estimate, and also we did get the question answered years ago. So maybe if you have a look back at that and see what the result of that was.
Okay.
The second question is about spraying along the Ocean Road. Now, last autumn, we had a very dry autumn. The whole of the Ocean Road was sprayed and it became a real fire hazard. We had one of our driest autumns in probably 50 years. At the time, the council said they would speak to regional roads about mowing rather than spraying the whole of the Ocean Road. Have there been any results from that?
Through the chair, I'm going to have to take that one on notice, Mr Webber, because Mr McNeil has had the most recent conversations and he's not here tonight, so we're going to take that one on notice. Thank you.
All right. Just a brief one on the notice of motion, if I may. The notice of motion is about the Skeens Creek path. When it was first proposed, the Otway Forum suggested it would be on the land side of the Ocean Road, and that may now be better to be considered rather than on the ocean side, which has got a lot of problems. Thank you.
Just in relation to that, was that just a statement or a question?
Well, if that can be considered.
Yep, thank you. We have one other registered, which is Tosh Jake Finnegan. Thank you.
Sorry, and just to note under the governance rules, I should be allocated up to 5 minutes time to ask my questions. Is that correct?
Yep, you've got first question.
Thank you very much. The first one I've just thought up of while I've been sitting down. I was in relation to freedom of information requests. I submitted 2 freedom of information requests last month on the 13th and 14th of November respectively, and paid the fee required. Now, according to the Office of the Victorian Information Commissioner, the Council has 30 to 45 days from the date a valid request was made to provide me with a decision. Given we're 27, 28 days into that time period and I haven't really had any correspondence from the Council, I was just wondering if I could be given an indication as to when these requests might be responded to.
Thank you, Mr. Tenney. Oh, who's the
That's with me, Mayor. Yep,
Thank you.
Thank you. Tosh, I'll check on the progress on that tomorrow for you and get back to you tomorrow, if that's okay. We do definitely intend to respond within timeframes on all of those.
All right, thank you very much. And my questions, which I had before I came to the meeting, relate to item 7.2 of the agenda. Now, under the draft changes to the Community Grants Program, one of the highlighted changes is that activities and events held in a licensed gaming venues will no longer be funded by council grants. Last week, the Colac Herald published a story showing that the Colac Otway's gaming venues derived $1,075,396 of revenue from the pokies in October 2024 alone, or more than $34,690 per day. In 2023, and again this year in 2024, the Colac Otway Shire Council has hosted its Christmas party at the Colac Bowling Club, a beautiful venue located on the corner of Armstrong and Wall Streets overlooking the beauty of Lake Colac. This venue also hosts almost 20% of the poker machines in the Colac Otway Shire. My questions are as follows. 1, how much does the council pay per year to hold its Christmas party at the Colac Bowling Club? Question 2, does council think it's appropriate for staff to attend a venue which houses almost 20% of the poker machines in our shire just so they can attend their staff Christmas party? And 3, given that council is expressing concerns about funding gaming venues with grant money, does council agree that it's hypocritical for council to use a pokies venue to host its Christmas party?
Thanks for the questions. I'll throw to Mr. Tenney for a response.
In relation to the first part of the question about how much we paid to hold the Christmas party, I'm not sure of that offhand, so we'll take that on notice and provide a response to that. Whether or not it's appropriate for council to hold a Christmas party in such a venue, I think that any venue where we're supporting local business through our Christmas party and through other events is okay. No member of staff partook in any of the gaming venues or machines in there while we attended. And so, yeah, I think it's, in the circumstances, it was appropriate.
Thank you. Is that...
And I was just going to ask to comment if council thinks it might be hypocritical for council to utilise such a venue for the Christmas party whilst stating under council's grants policy that they don't want to give money to gaming venues.
I think that they're probably two separate issues. One is about the hire and the use of the venues, whether or not council is contributing ratepayer funds for whilst revenue is being generated by poker machines and other, I think is a separate question.
And I do have one more in relation to Christmas parties. As I understand it, prior to my time on council, which was obviously from early 2023 until just before the most recent election, different departments were able to have their own Christmas parties and the like, and that was put to a stop. Was there any particular reason for that? Because I understand a lot of those were be the likes of it, just barbecues and a few drinks at a local oval or something like that and having a hit of cricket. Is there any reason that was put to stop?
I'll have to throw to the CEO. Thanks.
So many departments do still gather at Christmas time as a team, and we don't have any issue with that. And that's pretty common, but they do that as a team and they pay for their own party themselves. There was a decision that the organisation would pay for one party for staff to get together and not pay for multiple parties, so not pay for someone to attend a department party plus another department party, maybe plus an organisation. We think it's reasonable for us to come together as an organisation. The food is paid for by the council for that once a year gathering of the organisation, as is the catering. That's the extent of the contribution, and the rest of it is left up to departments to organise an extra social gathering if they wish. Some go bowling, some have a big barbecue.
I presume the venue hire is covered by the council as well, if there is
a venue hire, yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. There are no more questions. So I note there are no petitions or joint letters, and there is, for planning and responsible authority decisions, there is nothing. But before we move to the officer reports and the first item on the agenda, Councillor Potter would like to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate your indulgence in this. Look, I just wanted to acknowledge the work of Father Michael O'Toole, that is retiring soon. I believe he does have some part-time work down on the coast, but I just wanted to, on behalf of the community, acknowledge his work, not just within the Catholic Church, but his work with the homeless, domestic violence, the multicultural community, and so forth, has been outstanding, and I just thought it was worthy of noting. Thanks for your indulgence, Mayor.
Thank you, and I certainly endorse those comments. We now move on to the officer reports, and the first item on the agenda, 7.1, project budget adjustments, cash reserve transfers for November 2024. The purpose of this report is to present the project budget adjustments and cash reserve transfers for council ratification and approval. These budgets are for the 2024-25 capital works and operational projects. Are there any questions of officers, councillors? No, there is an officer recommendation in the report. Does anyone wish to move that as is? Councillor Potter, is it to be seconded? Councillor Howard, as the mover. Councillor Potter.
Thanks, Mayor, and you'll probably get sick of me saying this, but I love seeing this report every month. It provides transparency to councillors and the community in relation to how some of our projects are travelling. The detail or the number of projects varies from month to month, but if you add them up over time, I think you'll see the trend that the majority of our projects by far are running on budget or slightly under budget. From time to time, we do have to make adjustments where projects may run over for whatever reason, but this is a great document, and I encourage everyone to have a look at it and keep tracking it across the year.
Thank you. Councillor Howard is the seconder.
I support Councillor Potter's comments, but also for us new councillors, this report is excellent for accountability and transparency. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other councillors? No. Right reply, Councillor Potter? No. Thank you. We have a motion before us, recommendation before us. We'll now put it to a vote. Motion, yeah. All in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Dews, Councillor Howard and Councillor Shrams carried 7-0. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 7.2, the review of the Colac Otway Shire Grants Program for 2024. The purpose of this report is to seek Council's endorsement of the Colac Otway Shire Grants Program guidelines for 2025-26. Just in the item 7.2 where it says the Shire Grants Program 2024, it should read 2025. Thanks. Do we have any questions of officers? No. Okay, we have an officer recommendation in the report. Does anyone wish to move that as is? Councillor Howard, is it to be seconded? Councillor Potter. Councillor Howard is the mover.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, just to reiterate that this is a very important part of council business to support our local community in various ways, and so I thank the officers for this report.
Thank you. Councillor Potter is the seconder.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I support what Councillor Howard has said. I'll just point out there's over $300,000 allocated to the community for grant activity. which generates, I think last year might have been over $2 million worth of economic and social benefit. It's a great program. I note a small change this time to remove the environmentally sustainable grant from exclusively to businesses and open that up to everybody else. But this is a great program and encourage everyone to get in their applications.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Howard has the right to reply. No. Thanks, councillors. We'll now call for a vote. All those in favour: Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Dedouche, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. It's carried 7-0. Thank you. We move to item 7.3, the Colac Otway Shire Community Grant Approval of Alternative Proposal. The purpose of this report is to seek Council's endorsement for the Illawarra Cricket Club to use the council grant of $9,838 from approved for an electric scoreboard for an alternative proposal. I hope that made sense to someone, it didn't to me. I'll throw to Mr. Surin just to explain this report a little further.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just to provide a little bit more context for councillors and the community. The Illawarra Cricket Club were awarded a grant to install an electronic scoreboard. After further consideration of that, the club are looking to do something a little bit larger, and so the grant wouldn't be sufficient. They tried to match it with a state government grant, which was unsuccessful. So they've come back to council to see whether they can use the funds for an alternate proposal. That alternate proposal is for a ride-on mower and some associated equipment. So the report talks about a mower, but just to explain that there's some associated equipment with that being a trolling spreader and a boom sprayer, as well as the mower to maintain the oval at the Colac Secondary College.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have questions of officers? No? I've just got one question on why was the scoreboard funding, what happened to that?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Mayor. So originally the club were looking to put in a small electronic scoreboard, then a funding opportunity came up through the state government where council, on behalf of a number of clubs, submitted an application for, I think, 4 or 5 electronic scoreboards. Unfortunately, that application was unsuccessful. So those clubs are still looking at potential other opportunities for external funding to install electronic scoreboards. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's disappointing for the clubs, I guess. We weren't successful, but hopefully in the future. Are there any other questions? No? There's officer recommendation in the report. Do I have a mover for that recommendation as is? Councillor Hudgell, was it seconded? Councillor Potter. Councillor Hudgell as the mover.
I think it's a great outcome for the Illawarra Cricket Club, and I also think it'll benefit a lot of other sporting groups and events that are there as well, so it's a great outcome.
Thank you. Councillor Potter, second.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'd too support those comments from Councillor Hudgell. I think this is a sensible reallocation of funds that will get a good outcome for the cricket club and the broader users of the facility.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? No. Right, a reply. Thank you. We have a motion before us. We'll call for a vote. All those in favour: Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Dedouche, Councillor Howard and Councillor Schramm's carried 7-0. Thank you. Now move to item 7.4, Council and Committee meeting dates for 2025. The purpose of this report is to set the dates, times and venues for meetings of the Council, Planning Committee and Submissions Committee for 2025. Questions of officers? Councillor Howard.
Mayor, I would like to move a motion in the form of the officer's recommendation with a change to point 7, which will now read, holds at least 2 meetings each calendar year, which will be scheduled in Apollo Bay.
Thank you. Do I have questions of officers in relation to this? No? We have a recommendation from Councillor Howard that he has already read out. A motion, sorry. Is it to be seconded? Councillor McCrickard? As the mover, Councillor Howard.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry I jumped in a bit too early, I think there. I'm getting used to this. Again, I just wanted to make sure we had stronger clarification that we would be hold meetings down in the coastal areas and give opportunities to other people in our community to attend the meetings. Thank you.
Councillor McCrickard as a seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. I just think the wording now gives a very definite appeal that Apollo Bay will have 2 meetings for this calendar year, and it's a very deliberate statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor? Councillor Dadouche.
I would like it noted as well that we discussed having meetings around peak times, and then it was discussed that it was probably better to have meetings when there are items of note that refer to Apollo Bay. So I think that that's a better option for the community so that they can be more involved and have an opportunity to be present.
Thank you. Any other councillor? No, I'll say something on this, that as a group of councillors that were elected from a strong group this year of 18, we're lucky enough to be elected, and we do have discussions in briefings, but they're not decision-making forums. But we do discuss, one of the things is when we can meet, and so we can give the best to the community. And there might be contention about when times may suit people, but in today's modern era of technology, people can tune in via online purposes, and it is live streamed, and the recording can now be watched so that more people can have access to how council works and contribute to the meetings. The dates for 1 o'clock is a significant change, and the day to a Tuesday, and it's for a number of reasons, and I think it opens up the opportunity for more people in the future to see that meeting times and days can be changed to suit more of a demographic in the community. And this council group is very diverse and from right across the Shire, and 3 of us have young children, and it suits some of us to, we're in here doing meetings, a lot of people don't realise, every week, and which will become every Tuesday. So we're in here, and those times are suitable for us to meet, and we can plan our lives around it, especially with young kids. 4 o'clock, isn't great for drop-off times, and a lot of us work. And if you've worked an 8, 9 or 10 hour day and then you're meeting in here at 6, we're probably tired, and things can become unproductive. There's a lot of arguments for and against. There's people in our agriculture industry that milk a lot at 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night, and those times don't suit them. They might be able to attend now. But if anyone has any concerns or wants questions asked, issues raised, the councillors are there. We've chosen these times because it suits, and we want to give the community the best. We've put our hand up to represent you the best we can, and these times I feel are best represented, suit us. I run a business, so it takes a lot of time out of my day regardless of when I come in. I know Councillor Hudgell runs a business. A lot of that time's taken up after hours. So if anyone is inconvenienced by the time, we do apologise, but we feel we're giving this a go for the next 12 months to try and give our community the best representation of the people that you elected into council And if anyone does have any concerns, please reach out and I can try and explain some of the reasons behind it. I think, you know, this shows that any council group can change. There might be another council group that meeting at 8 o'clock at night suits them to get the best out, but this is what we're trying, and I do ask the community to give us a go because we are trying the best we can, and these times, like I've said, do suit us. So yeah, bear with us, and we'll try and certainly represent you the best we can going forward. Thank you. Right of reply, mover. No. Thank you. We have a recommendation before us, motion before us, councillors. We'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickar, Councillor Dadouche, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm is carried 7-0. Thank you. We now move on to item 7.5. It's the award of a contract 2428 Morley Avenue reconstruction in Wye River. The purpose of this report is to consider the award of the contract 2428 for the reconstruction of Morley Road, Wye River, including the intersection of Morley and Macrae Road. Questions?
Can I introduce?
Oh, yes, sorry. The CEO would like to introduce this item, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. I just appreciate the opportunity to just introduce this item and the following one, the two contract award items, just because they are presented in a different way to our normal practice, and therefore I think that, you know, it's worth just noting why. So I'll speak to both at once. So we find ourselves with councils now formalising their meeting dates for 2025, with our next scheduled meeting actually being about 10 weeks from today. And whilst we could call for an urgent meeting if we need, we've tried to design a recommendation to councils that can help avoid that. And so we have two contracts that have gone through the procurement process all the way to the end, except one last thing we usually do before we bring these to the chamber for council's consideration is we undertake a financial viability assessment, or whatnot. We request an independent party to do that for us. And normally that is returned in time for us to finalise our recommendation. Now, we don't have those, we didn't at the time of issuing the agenda have those financial viability assessments back in time for both of these items. And so with the risk of having to wait 10 weeks and with both of these contracts having external funding with external deadlines relating to them, we've had to present a way forward to council to consider that enables us to get an authorisation tonight with appropriate conditions and checks yet to come. And not lose that opportunity to get the projects up and running and meet those funding deadlines. And so what we have is a bit clunky and a bit different, certainly not our preferred practice. There was a reasoning behind it, however. I am pleased to be able to confirm that for the Malerick Road contract, which is actually going to be considered as item 7.6, the financial viability assessments have been returned, and therefore tonight we can present a revised recommendation for that item. It will be much simpler for councils to consider. Unfortunately for the Morley Avenue, we're partway through the process, and so we're going to ask council to consider this slightly different approach. I hope that made sense.
Thank you. We have questions of officers, councillors. One question I have in when will this be made public? When and if the final financial statements come in?
Yeah, thank you. So as soon as we have all of the things we need to be able to exercise any authorisation that council might give us, then as soon as we have that, we would notify the successful tenderer and the unsuccessful tenderers so that everyone who's participated knows that. And then we would very promptly put that onto our council website. There's a section for tenders and contracts. And if you go there, you can see the name of the contractor and the value of that contract amount. It's just a courtesy to make sure that we let unsuccessful tenderers know first.
Thank you. Any other questions? No, we have an officer recommendation in the report. Does anyone wish to move it, the officer recommendation that's in there? Councillor Potter, is it to be seconded? Councillor Howard. As the mover, Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. This is an unusual way or presentation of awarding a contract, but we've heard the reasons why it's presented this way, and it's a very, very sensible way of handling this situation. We do need these works to be done. We can't afford to risk losing some funds from our funding partner, nor can we risk waiting till winter or something to try and undertake these works. So I appreciate that this has been put in front of us the way it has. And I think it's, as I said, I think it's a very sensible way to achieve the awarding of a contract for works that are waiting to be undertaken, and I'm sure the community will welcome that a contract is awarded and the works commence.
Thanks, Councillor Potter. As the seconder, Councillor Howard.
Yeah, look, I support Councillor Potter's statements, but also I just reiterate that part of councillor role is making sure that the due diligence is done, and I believe the due diligence has been done on this, even though it's a convoluted recommendation. I commend the officers, because we do not want to lose funding and we want to get the works done, so I'm comfortable with this, and I think it shows you again how council laws and officers can work together for the better of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. I just think it's a great outcome for some of our smaller towns, like Wye River down the coast, to receive this funding. As the mover, writer, reply. Thanks. We have the motion before us. Councillors will now put to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudville, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Dadouche, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. It's carried 7-0. Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 7.6, award of contract 2512 Malaric Road reconstruction at Birregurra. The purpose of this report is to consider the award of contract 2512 Malaric Road. Do councillors have any questions of officers? I have a question, and this is really just for public transparency. What happened to the road that may have only been 5 years old that it requires this, if just in brief?
Thanks. Through the chair, I'm happy to speak to that, and we completely understand why there would be a question in the community, because there's no secret this road was sealed certainly not all that long ago. And so there were 2 stages of upgrade to Malaric Road, both related to planning permit conditions that were put on 2 quite separate developments. And both of those developers, to satisfy their planning permits, had at the right time put forward designs, which council had received and said yes and approved those designs and overseen the construction now through those processes. We have since found, having investigated the failure of the road, that the standards that were put forward probably would not be what we would now today accept. And that happened both with the first and the second stage, so we have a compounded challenge here. And having accepted that as the road authority, there is no recourse for council to go back to those parties. Council has to find a way through that. We have tried to get other external funding to relieve the pressure on our ratepayers, and we have arrived at a result where the project is now partly funded through Roads to Recovery, federal funding. But it's just a series of things that have happened. Unfortunately, a bit of a perfect storm with 2 projects not going as they were intended. We have reviewed our processes, the way that road specifications are changed and the checking that happens before they are now signed off is quite different. And so we've put more rigour into that to try and avoid this happening on future projects. Nonetheless, we have a challenge that we have to address on Malaric Road.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. We have a revised officer recommendation. Can we... Oh, is that it up there? Yeah, you can speak to the changes in there, that's fine.
Thank you, Chair. I did refer to this a little earlier. Under this particular contract, we have the financial viability assessment reports back, and they have been deemed to be very acceptable, and therefore we can simplify our recommendation for councils to award to the tenderer that has, through the assessment process, been identified as offering the best value for money. So we've simplified that.
Thank you. We do have a revised officer recommendation up there, councillors. Does any councillor wish to move the revised officer recommendation? Councillor Potter, is it to be seconded? Councillor Howard, as the mover, Councillor Potter.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm pleased to see this contract put in front of us, and as the CEO pointed out, the information that councillors and officers needed to award this tender has come through, so hence the new recommendation that I'm happy to move. You don't need me to read it out, do you, Meg, given that the CEO's given us the background to it? Thank you. Yeah, we know this road's been in trouble. That occurred some years ago prior to the current CEO, and I think at that time and for a little period, council was struggling with attracting engineers and having enough staff in that area. I'm pleased to say that we do have some great engineering skill on our council now, and more than one engineer, which is a great plus for this council, and I think that is reflective of the change in the quality of the project delivery. So pleased to see it. We'll get that road done, and it'll be done properly.
Excellent. Councillor Howard as the seconder.
Oh, I have no comment, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thanks. Any other councillor? Councillor Dadouge, thank you.
Just to reiterate what Councillor Potter said, I really appreciate the new talent that have been brought on, but also the way that this mistake has been met with an opportunity to correct systems so that it won't happen again.
Thank you. Any other councillor? No. Right, a reply. Councillor Potter, no. Thanks. We have the motion before us, councillors. We'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour, Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Dadouge, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schram's carried 7-0. Thank you, councillors. We now move to items to note. Item 8.1, Assessment of Audit and Risk Committee Performance Against the Charter. Any questions of officers? No. Does we have an officer recommendation in the report. Does any councillor wish to move that? Councillor Howard, is it to be seconded? Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Howard.
Yes, I was privy to be elected to represent council on the Audit and Risk Committee, and we had our first meeting the other day, and I was very impressed with the calibre of external and internal members, and I think the Audit and Risk Committee is going to be a good asset to the councillors over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudgell. Any other councillor? No. I'll just for the record, I'm the other councillor that's representing the Audit and Risk Committee for the next 12 months, and I echo Councillor Howard, who's on the committee as well, echo his words. Thank you. You have right a reply? No. We have the motion before us. Call for a vote. All those in favour, Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Dadouge, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schram. It's carried 7-0. Thanks, councillors. On to item 8.2, the Audit and Risk Committee Biannual Report. The purpose of this report is to receive information to the Colac Otway Shire and Audit and Risk Committee Biannual Risk Report. Any questions of officers? No. We have an officer recommendation in the agenda. Does any councillor wish to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Howard, is it to be seconded? Councillor Dadouche. Councillor Howard is the mover.
I'll just read out the number 2 of that, and I concur that I acknowledge the Audit and Risk Committee Chair and independent members for their efforts and commitment to the Colac Otway Shire Council. I think they put a very good effort into what comes out of that committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dadouche.
No comment, thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor? Right, a reply, Councillor Howard. We have the motion before us. Councillors will put to a vote. All those in favour, Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McGregor, Councillor Zhu, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm is carried 7-0. We now move to item 8.3, Community Asset Committees and Annual Report 2023-24. Purpose of this report is to present the 23-24 annual report in relation to the activities, performance of community asset committees within the Colac Otway Shire. Do you have any questions of officers? All right. We have an officer recommendation in the report. Does any councillor wish to move that recommendation? Councillor Potter, is it to be seconded? Councillor McCrickard, Councillor Potter as mover. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm pleased to see this report. It details the activities and performance of the community asset committees within Colac Otway Shire. I note that there's some reports not in yet, and I encourage those committees to get them in. But when you have a look at this, it's a great snapshot of the activities conducted in our halls and assets across the Shire. And know the great work of Polar Bay Senior Citizen Centre, the Birregurra Hall, Warrion Hall and Kararook Hall, but I just want to mention in this report you see the activities at Carlisle River, Beach Forest, for example, Chapel Vale Hall committee installed a defibrillator. What a great outcome for the community down there. So it's great to see the activities going on, and as I said, I'm pleased to see this report in front of us.
Thank you. Councillor McCrickard, seconder.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I'd just like to support Councillor Potter's words. This really is the nuts and bolts of what a shire is all about, and it's great that we've got the opportunity to view this and to appreciate it and to applaud the people who put their hands up to be on committees and hall committees, etc., and give up their time for their local community. I think it's a wonderful thing, and we must applaud it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor? Councillor Howard.
Yeah, I concur with the other comments from our councillors, but also make a statement that with the change to the new Local Government Act 2020, it recognises the importance of the community asset committees, and they're a valuable commodity for council in delivering services through mostly through volunteer activities. And I know council officers and councillors will over the next few years also strengthen that relationship and make sure that the support is there for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor? No? Right, a reply. Councillor Potter? No.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion before us. Councillors will put to a vote. All those in favour, Councillor Potter, Councillor Hudgell, Councillor Buchanan, Councillor McGregor, Councillor Dew, Councillor Howard, Councillor Schramm. Item is carried 7-0. We now move on to item 8.4, report of informal meetings. Please note that the purpose of this report is to inform on the informal meetings of councillors. It does not require a decision of council. Are there any questions of officers to anything there? No. That concludes our officer reports. We have no items of urgent business. Now move on to item 10.1, the notice of motion number 3512425, Skeens Creek to Apollo Way Trail. It is a notice of motion by Councillor Howard. I'll move Councillor Howard to move. So we have moved that. Is there a seconder of the motion? Councillor Dadu as the mover. Councillor Howard.
Yes, this is a very important project for the coastal communities. It encourages exercise, it connects communities. I think it will actually enhance the environment and biodiversity if we get it right. And it, from my understanding that the funding was pulled for this project, but it still exists in some of our master plan and strategic documents. Therefore, I think it's reasonable for council to seek some details on the identified long-term impacts, so we as councillors can actually reconsider these type of projects in our council plan moving forward.
Thanks, Councillor Howard. Councillor Dadu as the seconder.
Yes, I thank you, Councillor Howard, for putting this motion forward. I feel like the more information that we can get on this project, the better. The more opportunity we have to build on any findings that they had, and it has been quite tricky to find information so far. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what has been found. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor? Councillor Potter.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'll be supporting this notice of motion. Like many people, I was disappointed with the decision to cancel the Skeens Creek to Apollo Bay Trail. It wasn't a council decision, but ultimately a decision of a higher level committee, I think comprising of federal and state politicians and, from memory, perhaps the Mayor of Geelong. And by way of explanation for the cancellation, council was given the same information that the community received. While council's been criticised for not providing more information, you can't provide what you don't have. So yeah, it was a disappointing decision, and part of that disappointment for me also was the reallocation of some of the funding that was provided for that trail to a project outside Colac Otway Shire. We're told there's a budget shortfall for the Apollo Bay Harbour project, and this will inhibit the ability to deliver the project in full. But perhaps more of that money from Skeens Creek could have been allocated to the Apollo Bay Harbour part of the City Deals project. I have been lobbying for a couple of years now to lobby the state and federal government to make additional funds available to deliver the project as much as we can in full, and stick my hand up again to join with Gore Kappa or officers, community groups to try and get that budget shortfall repaired so that as much of the harbour redevelopment plan that was endorsed by the community can be produced.
Thank you. Any other councillor? No, I'd like to say a couple of things. I'll support this notice of motion by Councillor Howard. Yeah, I was previously on council and was part of a delegation that went to Canberra and lobbied pretty hard for our community, particularly down the coast. And when we, the election, I guess, went our way, and the promises and things came for the city deal, not just for here, but other shires in the G21 region. Some of those projects have been delivered. Nothing's really been delivered for what our communities have been promised. Very, very disappointing from somebody that wasn't on council over the last 4 years to see these projects fall over. The harbour project hasn't just been something that the community have wanted for 4 or 5 years. It's been ongoing for probably the best part of 30 years, and things changing, and the great excitement around getting that funding, and then proposed dates that would be completed by 2024. Here we are, and they haven't started. Millions of dollars seemingly have disappeared. No one really knows what the answers are. So I really support this as the first bit. We should have a good working relationship with Gore Kappa of honesty, and no one wants to upset them or say anything bad about them to make them, not want to give information. But the community deserve better. That the Gore Kappa have taken over a lot of assets that the Shire used to look after, and in particular these projects. And as a council, I think we demand more answers for our community, and our community demands those answers, not just from us, but from all forms of government. And I hope we can get something from this, and I hope we can start to see some action on some of these projects. So, well done to Councillor Howard, and I fully support it, and I hope this motion succeeds tonight. Any other councillor? Councillor Howard? No, we have the motion before us. We'll now put to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Potter? Councillor Budgels? Sorry. Councillor Buchanan? Councillor McGregor? Councillor Duke? Councillor Howard? Councillor Schramm? Carried 7-0. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the council meeting of the Colac Otway Shire. I declare this meeting closed at 5:01 p.m. Thank you to the gallery.